off.
Yeah. Last week.
C'est pourquoi on met les cheveux à la garde, parce qu'il y a plus dans deux têtes que dans une.
Слава Україні! Слава нації! Україна! Україні! Слава нації!
Дорога!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Героям України тричі!
Слава! Слава! Слава!
Ворогам України тричі!
Смерть! Смерть! Смерть!
Remember, friends, it would be nice if the words of the people could reach those who call the shots. If our voice could reach those who are actually making the decisions, it would be a very nice conversation. But alas, we have to do what we can and hope so that one day somebody who is making those decisions is going to hear. Or perhaps one day those decisions will come to us also. Perhaps one day we will be making those decisions. That will be a very good situation. That will be a very good future, my friends. That is what democracy is all about. Societal climate. To be able to put those who are best for the jobs in the jobs that they are best for. I mean, it sounds reasonable, doesn't it? Well, Russia is the polar opposite of that. Russia is the manifestation of nepotism and corruption. Russia is the manifestation of rot in politics. Russia has made their own politics into phenomenon. There's no politics in Russia. There's Putin banging the table with his fist and saying this is how it will be, that is how it will be. And then everyone else runs around like a cockroach and obeys it. Or they get crushed once again like cockroaches. My friends, we have two paths in front of us. The path of a human being walked on your own two feet, or the path of a cockroach. That we would skittle around and run away from those with real power, just to survive a little bit longer. I think everyone here would make the decision to be a human and not a cockroach. I hope to hear that from all of you, my friends. I hope to hear that answer from you. But alas, words and practice can be something quite different very often. Sometimes people claim they want freedom. People claim they want a better future. But they perpetually choose the worst case scenario, the worst decision. They make those worst decisions. And at the end of the day, who suffers? All of us suffer, my friends. All of us suffer. If a politician says something silly, if a politician loses the grip on the throat of the Russian terrorist regime and allows them to breathe some air and recover and attack the free world once again, all of us suffer with that. Because the more power Russia has, the more ability it has of meddling into Western politics, into the quality of life of the free world. And these latest quote-unquote discussions with Russia, they have done nothing but harm to the whole world, my friends. That is another reason why we need to look to ourselves. We need to start looking within us, within Europe, within that unity. Спасіння утопаючих – це діло рук самих утопаючих. That's the saying. It goes like this. The saving of the drowning is a job for the hands of the drowning. It seems, once again, that the United States are about to bail on all of its allies. Isolationism, complete and utter isolationism. Very lovely. Let's annex Finland, not Finland, Greenland. Let's annex Canada, let's annex Panama, let's annex everything. I mean, sounds familiar to you. Sounds a little bit familiar to Russian rhetoric about how they want to annex everything. And for those who may not be aware, regimes with a similar rhetoric want other regimes who have some things in common in their ideology to prevail. We spoke about political idealism and political realism before. And both the trains of thought, both of those political philosophies have pros and cons. In this case, my friends, we see the complete and utter collapse of political realism. Political realism seems to have died with the Soviet Union. Nowadays, we have this rotten idea and very skeptical, very cynical idea of, oh, you know, my house is on the side, I don't care about anything else, as long as it doesn't touch me. This cynicism, it hurts. It hurts every single one of us. Because in the free world that functions on its diplomacy, on its relations with each other, if it stops having that relation, if it cuts on those diplomatic ties, then the only thing that's left is a lot of fragmented and quite different states who have been demilitarizing for generations now. The free world has been giving up its weapons. You know why? Oh, because we want world peace. They wanted world peace. That's why they stopped creating those weapons. Oh, that evil. You know, the weapons makers, those evil people, the very bad people, you know. Except, if the free world had those weapons now, perhaps we would not have to listen to the insane demands of the Russian terrorist regime. Perhaps we would not have to sit at the same table as psychopaths who are ready and able to kill and to exterminate entire nations. Perhaps then we would not have to listen to their insane demands. But alas, my friends, alas, here we are again. Arms keep peace. That saying has been forgotten by the Europeans. You know, one thing I have to say, one thing that Trump is correct on, one of the few things these days, is that the Europeans really should be arming more. They really should be rebuilding their militaries. They really should be investing a minimum of at least 5% of their GDP in their military. Right now it's less than 2. What can be done with that? Nothing. Just to hope that Russia is going to be reasonable, or that Russia is going to run out of steam. A stupid hope, my friends. Now that the CCP is building fortresses here in London, and Russia is attacking the east of Europe, now is the time to rearm. Now is the time to prepare for potential confrontation. And you know what's funny about that preparation is that the more you prepare, the less likely a potential confrontation becomes. Because your enemies see that you have the means to defend yourself, and they will not want to start a fight with you ever. That is called a deterrent. I'm sure the peaceniks of our days have forgotten that word, or maybe they never even knew that word. You know, I've seen many of these peaceniks oppose military aid for Ukraine, but then support prescribed terrorist organizations like the Houthis, like Hamas, like Hezbollah. Terrorist organizations that have been declared as such, that have behaved as such, and that are proxies for Russia and for Ayatollah Iran, as we all know. So what happens next? We allow China to build a fortress in the Royal Mid-Court. We allow Russia to simply take over Ukraine and keep whatever they want. What after that? Is China going to finally invade Taiwan? It's likely. I mean, if the US keep up the tariffs on Taiwan, again, it's just so funny. Taiwan produces 90% of semiconductors. 90% in the world. One of the most important countries on earth, and the United States are putting tariffs on them. Because of course, we don't need to be friends. With one of the most important countries on earth that just so happens to be the main first step for conquest of our main enemy. My friends, it's time to wake up. World, wake up!
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 All together, we will win!
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 All together, we will
Russia, we will win.
Stop Russia, stop the war.
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 More sanctions on Russia.
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 More sanctions.
Russia is a terrorist state.
Russia is the terrorist state.
Russia is a terrorist state.
Russia is the terrorist state.
Russia is a terrorist state.
Russia is the terrorist state.
Help Ukraine protect peace. Help Ukraine
Protect peace.
Help Ukraine protect peace.
Help Ukraine protect peace.
Help Ukraine protect peace.
Help protect peace.
You know what, friends, once again, it is interesting to look at all of these videos of Russophiles like Tucker Carlson, where he spews lies and filth out of his mouth as if it were an open sewer. He says things like, for example, oh, you know, in Ukraine they persecute Christians, they persecute Christians. What a stupid individual. The Russian Orthodox Church is ruled by an ex-KGB agent. And I don't mean Putin, I mean the patriarch Kirill. Because if you only include Putin, then it's ruled by two ex-KGB agents. The Russian terrorist regime's church has always supported their war effort, has always supported the killing of Ukrainians, has always raised money to fight against Ukraine, to wage this war of aggression against Ukraine. And in Ukraine, they have been trying their absolute best to subvert the Ukrainian people and to make sure that they will no longer understand who the real enemy is. Russia. Russia is always the enemy, my friends, of Ukraine, of Europe, of this country, of the United States too. They would do well to remember that one day. That Russia is their number one enemy, still, even now. Maybe the most powerful, may not be the most powerful enemy, no. But it is the most sworn enemy. It has always been the most sworn enemy of the free world. And it is very sad to see, my friends, truly, truly very sad to see the world, the free world, in disunity, the free world in disarray, not knowing what to do, not knowing how to act, not knowing what to invest in. Oh, what do we do? The Russians are continuing to attack Ukraine. Well, there's still plenty of weapons that can be sent to Ukraine. Russia can't be attacking France or Germany or the United Kingdom anytime soon if Ukraine is still fighting back. If Ukraine is beating them up on the battlefield. My friends, what's the point of weapons for self-defense if they are not used on your number one enemy? On the number one enemy of this country, number one enemy of Europe. That is the purpose of weapons. To use them to protect yourself against those who wish you harm. That is what we are going to talk about, my friends. What are the solutions for this war? And it's truly, truly, truly a disgusting sight to see people sometimes say, oh, you know, we support Ukraine, we don't want to give any aid for Ukraine. No, no weapons, only humanitarian, yes. Ukraine had the weapons that it needs to put down the Russian terrorist regime's military. This war would have been over long ago. There would never be any further need for humanitarian aid, for any more military aid, for nothing. But that aid has always been delayed. Feet perpetually dragging on the floor. What's the result of that? Here we are again. With the Americans about to pitch Europe and stop sanctioning their closest allies. Here we are again, in the face of a precipice, in front of a precipice right in front of us. unprepared to face it, unprepared to build a bridge on top of it, to go to the other side. What is there to be done now, my friends, but to finally put aside our differences and unite? To finally silence traitors like Viktor Orban and Robert full throttle against the regime, to declare them as a united Europe, a terrorist regime. That, my friends, is a good first step to finally end this war, to finally bring back peace. That is what we should do. But is it going to be done? We cannot tell. The situation is very unpredictable right now. So we must hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. That should always be our modus operandi. Stop Russia, stop the war!
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 Tribunal for Russian war criminals!
Tribunal for Russia war criminals!
Tribunal for Russian war criminals!
Tribunal for Russia war criminals!
Tribunal for Russian war criminals!
Tribunal for Russia war criminals!
Russia is a terrorist state!
The terrorist state!
Russia is a terrorist state!
Russia is the terrorist state!
Russia is a terrorist state!
Russia is the terrorist state!
Help Ukraine protect peace!
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 You know, my friends, there's a saying that goes like this: there are no problems with no solutions. Unhappy about corruption in Ukraine? No problem. Let's send some NATO operatives to Ukraine so that they can watch over the weapons and all the aid and make sure it goes where it's needed. Not sure how to deal with the shortage in gas? No worries. You have a whole bunch of other providers around you, ready and eager to give you gas. In fact, the United States has been one of them. It's very weird to be personal, to see the United States or some individuals, some less bright individuals in the United States claim that supporting Ukraine is not in their benefit. When all that support is going straight back to the United States to purchase weapons from them. In other words, the aid the United States gives to Ukraine returns to the United States as tax money. Tax money becoming tax money. Very interesting, isn't it? That's how economy works. That's how economy grows. Create more jobs, create more infrastructure. The Europeans should be doing too. To develop their weapons manufacturing at long last. And to throw away the stupid idea that the move towards world peace is through being a peace state. We can't have world peace with Russia on the doorstep. It's impossible. Not as long as the Russian terrorist regime exists. If it collapses, sure, I mean, you can militarize all you want, but Russia's still there. And it keeps saying this every single day on their propaganda channels. They keep repeating this over and over again. Next is Poland. Next is Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Germany, United Kingdom, France. They keep saying this every single day. The people just don't listen, do they? They listen to the propaganda that Russia throws at the West. They don't listen to the propaganda that Russia throws at their own people. No, no, no. They have no idea what they're saying to their own people. And you know what's funny? They're not saying the same thing to their people as they're saying to all of you, my friends. To you, they say, oh, you know, evil NATO. We never wanted this war. We're just a peaceful people. Oh, the great Russian culture, the humanity. But to their own people, they say the West is evil. The United Kingdom is evil. They say the Anglo-Saxon race is evil. Yes. They use racist rhetoric themselves in order to excuse their hatred of the free world. My friends, it's time to wake up. It's time to give up on this stupidity, on this idiotic idea that if only we give Russia a few more concessions, they're going to stop. It's time to stop just closing our eyes to all of the Russian proxies who help them and who destabilize other parts of the world. It's time to stop pretending like all of us are untouched by whatever happens in Ukraine and whatever might happen very soon in Taiwan, considering the bad decisions made by the American government recently. It's time to see the world as a whole, a united entity that we can all contribute to. And the best way to contribute to it is to first and foremost be ready. Be ready for the worst. Be ready for the Russian terrorist regime. That requires this country to invest in its military. That requires Europe to unite and to prepare for any potential outcome. That is the outcome we are here to warn you about, my friends. Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава нації!
Смерть ворогам!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Героям України тричі!
Слава! Слава! Слава!
Ворогам України тричі!
Смерть! Смерть! Смерть!
And now, my friends, we're going to have another short musical break. Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава нації! Україна!
Чорнобиль, я казав.
Україна! Слава захисникам і захисницям тричі!
Слава! Слава! Слава!
You know, friends, sometimes I like to ask myself this question. Is there another way? Is there another way of dealing with Russia besides completely destroying their military and putting down their regime? I wish there was. I wish I could see. If anyone here can tell us what's the other way besides the full and complete collapse of the Russian terrorist regime to finally achieve peace with them, please go ahead. We're always willing to listen the opinions of the people who are passing by us. And that is not just some kind of a joke, that is not just me giving a speech. I mean, if any of you guys would like to ask us a question, go ahead and do it. Please do. We interact with our opposition on a regular basis. Not only with the people who support us, but with people who openly oppose us, who oppose aid for Ukraine. We interact with them and we ask them a simple question: what's your solution to the war? And what they say? Peace. They say peace is the solution. That's the funny part. The peace through which means? How are we going to achieve that peace? What kind of peace is it? Is it the peace of the graveyard, perhaps? Because that's what it seems nowadays. You know, in the graveyard, there's no war in the graveyard, there's no conflict, there's no disputes. Perhaps that's the peace we should be striving for. No, my friends, it is not. You know, when a regime wants to exterminate another people, and it invades them and beats them in a war, what happens after the end of the war is not peace. It is an extermination. I believe that we should all understand that very clearly. And if Russia wins, what's to follow is not peace, but an extermination of the Ukrainian people. An extermination unseen for generations now, ever since World War
Просто
II.
у нас тут русня бесится и говорит, что здесь за деньги стоим, то все. Так. Откуда девочка у нас?
Доброго дня. Мене Анна звати, я з Крима, Євпаторія.
З Крима. Повернемо Крим?
Звичайно.
Крим це Україна, так?
Крим це Україна. Луганськ це Україна, Донецьк це Україна.
Цей прапор знаєш? Донецька область.
Донецька область.
Так. Так що дівчина з Криму. Крим це Україна. Повернемо Крим теж. Дуже дякую. Як звати?
Анна.
Анна.
Слава Україні.
Героям слава. Дякую. Патриоты говорят на русском языке, потому что я с Донецкой области, а она с Крыма, а там русский язык это родной язык, так что...
Would you not call that an extermination? Do you only call an extermination when it involves millions of people? You know, Pol Pot in Cambodia, I'd like to talk about this topic in particular. Pol Pot in Cambodia was perhaps the most bloodthirsty and absolute worst of the worst leaders in human history. You know why? Because he killed one of the biggest percentages of his people. Now, Cambodia did not have that many people to begin with, so Pol Pot rarely gets mentioned in the lists of the great exterminators like Stalin, Lenin, Hitler, Mao Zedong. He rarely gets mentioned. You know why? Because he simply didn't have power over many people. Simple. Right now, Putin does not have power over that many people, to exterminate that many Ukrainians. He does not control the lives of that many Ukrainians at this moment. But that could change in a heartbeat. And all of these accusations of genocide and extermination, they will echo 100-fold in the future if Putin is not dealt with now. Why is it that the Polish, that the Estonians, Latvians, Lithuanians are sparing no expense to help Ukraine. Why is it that they accept Ukrainian refugees with no qualms about it? I do wonder about that sometimes, my friends. And the answer is very simple. It's because they understand what the Russian terrorist regime is. They've had a personal experience dealing with them. But alas, it seems like in some countries, like in Germany, for example, there's a lot of sympathies for Russia. You know, partially, it is because of a certain level of guilt for what Nazi Germany has done, which is fair enough. People should remember what has been done in the past. People should remember their own crimes of the past. But you know what, my friends? You should not be feeling guilty for the crimes of the past whilst allowing others to commit those same crimes in the present. What's the purpose of that guilt? What's the purpose of being guilty of something you haven't done yourself? What's the purpose of feeling guilt and allowing psychopaths to get away with crimes, with the same exact crimes you feel guilty of now? I am not right now speaking to the British people. The British people have fought against Nazis, and they have won. There was a time that Great Britain was the only country opposed to Nazi Germany. Before the Operation Barbarossa and after France had capitulated, there was no chance Great Britain could beat the Nazi military machine, the Nazi war machine on the battlefield in Europe. But you know what? They did not give up. They continued to fight, they continued to resist, and at the end of the day, they won. They won. We have the cenotaph here to prove that. Sometimes people say, oh, you know, if it were not for those heroes of the past, we'd all be speaking German. I believe that speaking German is the absolute least of the worries of the people. It's just a little meme that people talk about. The real problem, my friends, is to allow a psychopathic regime to win, to allow yourself to be reduced to the level of a beast. Look at Russia nowadays. Look at they treat their own people, their own opposition. What opposition, you may ask? The opposition that's dead? The opposition that's in jail? The opposition that fled abroad? Which opposition are we talking about? Is that the future we want for this country? Is that the future we want for Europe? And we must not be fools. We must not be stupid in this regard. We must not believe that just because Russia is not attacking this country right now directly with their soldiers, just as no Russian soldiers attacking the United Kingdom, that they are not attacking this country in any other way. They are in perpetual conflict with this country and with every other country of the free world. Always, every day, every minute, every second, they spread misinformation. The UK riots were caused by that misinformation. People came to the streets and besieged living quarters of individuals who had nothing to do with the crimes they claimed to have done. It was a huge injustice. It was disgusting. And it deserves all the condemnation in the world. But why did they do that? Because they were evil? No, my friends. It's because they were misinformed. The people of this country were misinformed into Brexit. They were misinformed into those riots. It's about time now to start informing people properly, to invest into information, to invest into the truth. Because if we do not invest into the truth, well, you can be damn sure that Russia will invest a lot into lies to replace that truth. A post-truth society, that is what Russia is right now. Do we want to become a post-truth society ourselves? Or do we want to reach a better future? A future in which human beings are human beings with human rights. and a future, a human future, not pigs and cattle ready for the slaughter at one word of their master, like in Russia. And you know what else is fun? Russophiles like Tucker Carlson and the likes of them, they always love and praise these pretty little streets in Moscow, in St. Petersburg. Look at that beautiful metro system, look at that tube system there. Oh, so beautiful. True civilization, truly. And you know what else is funny? Tucker Carlson, he went to a certain store in Russia, to a supermarket, and he started praising them. Oh, fresh bread. He was like sniffing that bread as if it was cocaine or something. My friends, it was ridiculous. It was embarrassing. You know what was the most embarrassing part about that whole endeavor? The supermarket was not even Russian. It was an Auchan, a French supermarket. In other words, Tucker Carlson went to Russia to praise a French supermarket and claim that it shows that Russia has a great quality of life. Amazing, truly amazing. It reminds me of the great Russians of history, like for example, Peter the Great, who was by the way French, or Catherine the Great, who was by the way German, or Tchaikovsky, who was by the way Ukraine. So, alas, in history perhaps we will remember some other greats of Russian history, like Stalin. Oh wait, even Stalin was Russian. He happened to be Georgian. It's truly interesting, my friends. Truly interesting. You know, Russia has had revolutions in the past. Russia has had many changes of government. I believe, in my humble opinion, that the next change of power that happens in Russia needs to be directed by the free world. We can no longer allow Russia to have their own revolutions and to dictate their own future. They have shown to be an impulsive and irrational state that will always pick the absolute worst case scenario. The Russian Empire was a disgusting enemy. The revolution, look what they got after the Russian Empire, even more disgusting enemy. Soviet Union collapsed. What did they get? A country-sized criminal syndicate of the Russian terrorist regime. My friend, it's about time for us to have a more hands-on approach to Russia. And it's about time for us all to always remember that there are people in Russia who want a better future. There are ethnic Russians who want a better future. And there are plenty of other ethnicities in Russia, besides the Muscovites. Russia, after all, is the country with the biggest Ukrainian minority in the world. I'm sure many of them don't see themselves as Ukrainians anymore, with generations of Russification, of brainwashing, of perpetual mind break. Many of them have forgotten who they were. But I believe they need to be remembered. I believe we need to remember that. I believe we need to remember what has happened in the past and who went to live in the Don region. We need to remember about green Ukraine, white Ukraine, yellow Ukraine, and green Ukraine. All areas in Russia that have historically had a huge amount of Ukrainians living there. It's about time, my friends, for us to start looking at Russia, not with eyes of just trying to ignore them, to close our eyes and imagine they don't exist. That has never worked in the past. To start looking at Russia with the eyes of empowering the people who actually want to change something.
Так, тут у нас еще есть с России люди. Что хочет русский человек сказать?
Россиянка. Ну, да. Во-первых, я не только не только русская, я еще и литовка и еврейка, и думаю, что это важно. Я хочу сказать, что Если вы из Украины и смотрите этот стрим, пожалуйста, не сдавайтесь, потому что вот именно от вас сейчас зависит то, что будет происходить дальше. И знаете, что вас поддерживает огромное количество людей. Если вы смотрите из России, привет. Если вы против этой войны, если вы против этого режима, если вы против Путина, если вы каждый день делаете что-то для того, чтобы остановить эту войну, спасибо, что вы есть, пожалуйста, не сдавайтесь, пожалуйста, берегите себя и, пожалуйста, вот, не отпускайте руки, потому что если вы сейчас находитесь в России, и если вы сейчас пытаетесь что-то изменить, и вы считаете, что вы делаете это правильно, пожалуйста, продолжайте это делать. Человек, который мне предлагает хвалить Израиль, большое спасибо, шаббат шалом, у нас был вчера.
Приедем.
Слава Украине, Россия будет свободной. Всем спасибо.
А годовщина Навальному?
Сегодня год с убийства Алексея Навального, который был убит в тюрьме за паленым кругом, который, разумеется, всю свою жизнь положил на то, чтобы сопротивляться этому режиму, который, конечно, был союзником Украины, который, разумеется, поддерживал Украину в ее борьбе за независимость от России. Я вот буквально только что пришла с акции Паляниця и панихиды. И там тоже было много смелых людей, и люди говорили самые интересные вещи. Если, опять же, вы смотрите из России, нас здесь много, мы продолжаем работу, мы продолжаем борьбу, мы обязательно победим, мы не молчим, конечно, и мы делаем ваш голос громче. И сегодня здесь, на этом митинге украинцев, я тоже надеюсь, что я делаю голос каждого россиянина, который стоит против этого режима, по какой-то причине не может участвовать, потому что это может там как-то негативно сказаться на их собственной жизни или, не дай бог, их близких. Я здесь, и таких, как мы, очень много. Нас не всегда видно, но мы всегда здесь, мы всегда присутствуем везде. И мы, конечно, победим.
Супер. Вот так вот, ребята. Человек из Москвы.
One of the myriad of mercenary groups in the United States simply decided it would be a great idea to ride towards Washington, D.C. and overthrow the government. Imagine Blackwood, one of these days decided to do a thunder run into Washington, D.C. I mean, the whole world would be going insane. The whole world would be thinking that the end is nigh. And in Russia, it was very close. If Prigozhin didn't get cold feet out of his own stupidity, he might have succeeded, who knows? Or at the very least, he might have weakened the Russian terrorist regime, which we personally would be very happy with. And alas, Prigozhin was an idiot. Prigozhin had his little flirting with a thunder run, with an insurrection. And then he quit. He went to Africa, where Russia, by the way, is practicing their own version of neo-colonialism. Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, and especially in Sudan, a country torn asunder by the Russian terrorist regime's neo-Nazi Wagner group. You know, it reminds me of an individual who came to us one time in front of us, and he asked me, "Oh, what do you think about the Nazi problem in Ukraine?" And I told him, well, that's true actually, he's right. There's a huge Nazi problem in Ukraine. There's actually 3 huge Nazi battalions in Ukraine right now. The Wagner Group, the Rusich, and the Sparta Battalion. Every single one of them sent by Russia to kill the Ukrainian people. So we do have a Nazi problem in Ukraine. Thanks for that, Russia. Thanks a lot. The so-called denazifiers, who sent their officers with Nazi tattoos to exterminate people and claim that Ukraine is some kind of a Jewish-owned colony or whatnot. Disgusting. And this is how Russian propaganda works on a daily basis. All the time. They talk to the far right, and they say, oh, Ukraine, they're all a bunch of Jews, they're all a bunch of, reptilian Zionists from Mars. All kinds of stupid conspiracy theories. Then they turn to the far left, And they say, oh, Ukraine, they're all a bunch of Nazis. Look at their swastika, there's Nazis all over the place. Stupid. Madness and stupidity is what we have nowadays in this world. Where is the wisdom that should have been amassed through the generations of human history, millennia of records that can be learned with, all of it for naught? All of it so that we have to suffer the same mistakes made so many times in the past. It hurts. It really does hurt to see it, my friends. So much wisdom squandered. Was all of it for naught? And people forgot the attempt of negotiating with Hitler that Chamberlain has done. We've seen some memes with Chamberlain coming out with this paper. You know, he raised that paper high in the air and said, look, I have made peace with Hitler. There's no war because me, the big peacenik, I have created peace. Around the year after, World War II started. Well done for the peace, Mr. Chamberlain. Well done for the peace. At least you got to pat yourself on the back for a whole year by making the situation worse and empowering a beast that was hungry for human flesh, like the Russian terrorist regime is nowadays. This is the thing, my friends. When a wild animal tastes human flesh, it needs to be put down. The Russian terrorist regime has tasted far too much humanity, and it needs to be put down for good, at long last. Something that should have been done long ago. Something, at the very least, we need to tell people that needs to be done now. Слава Україні! Слава нації! Україна! 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 Героям України тричі! Ворогам України тричі! Now, my friends, we're going to have another short musical break.
Hi everybody. I haven't prepared a speech, but I would like to say a few words. It's been 1,080 years since the start of the full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Russia has invaded Ukraine with the objective of destroying the Ukrainian state, destroying Ukrainian civil society, destroying Ukrainian culture, destroying Ukrainian language. These are not my words, these are the words of the same Russian officials who are waging this war against the Ukrainian people. Now there are a lot of talks about negotiations. We see Trump and Putin wanting to negotiate some sort of an agreement amongst themselves without involving Europe, without involving Ukraine. Sounds very, very strange. And I would like us to understand a little bit more what that means in practice for the people who live in Ukraine, what it means to freeze this conflict, what it means to stop this war in whatever conditions they are deciding amongst themselves. And for that I would like to tell you a little bit of a personal story. I was in Ukraine last November in the Donbas region. I was there as part of a humanitarian aid mission to deliver buses to the firefighters in Pokrovsk. This back then was 5 kilometers from the front line. These firefighters, they assist on operations in the coal mines in the Donetsk region, and they, given the situation now in frontline towns, they also help the state's firefighters, helping with evacuations, with firefighting.
Нет, я выключаю звук, когда песня играет, потому что мне потом прилетает.
Back then, Pokrovsk was 5 kilometers from the front line. We visited the coal mine, which was 20 kilometers from the front line. Of course, we visited this coal mine under constant air raid alarm. We were not allowed to go on the upper floor. This is an enormous industrial complex. It goes 1 kilometer down under the surface. There were 800 people working there back then.
Авторские права прилетают, когда песня играет.
From other parts of the Donetsk region, they were miners working on other mines that have been since then destroyed by Russia and occupied. They came, they evacuated back, and they started working on this particular mine in the Pokrovsk region. And they're there, they're locals. These are normal people, normal workers facing enormous challenges under missiles, under drone attacks all the time. Under the risk of being buried alive, because when we were there were 3 shafts at the entrance of the mine. One of them had already been bombed. There were 2 remaining ones. So real risk of being buried alive. 800 people. 800 people who are locals from Donetsk. They don't want occupation. They don't want to be part of Russia. They want to live in their free and independent Ukraine. And they want to work in peace and not at risk of their own death. Near to the mine, there was a small little village called ужесточат, very humble little houses. There was a post office, a couple of shops where people used to live peacefully. Then in December, this village was already gone. It had been destroyed by Russian bombardment. The mine itself was evacuated also in December. By January, I've seen videos from the Czech television team when the mine was being completely bombarded. Nowadays, the mine is gone, completely destroyed, and people have been evacuated to other parts of the Donetsk region, and the people across the region trying to find again a new life for themselves, but still they don't want to leave their region. These are Ukrainians from the Donetsk region, from Lviv, across. Some of them came all the way from Lugansk. And they want to stay where they're from, and they want their towns back. If you speak to those firefighters that we met, they say, well, I am from Pokrovsk, I am seeing my town being destroyed, and I want to stop it, I want to help it, I don't want to go anywhere else. I don't want to live under Russian occupation. And this is what these negotiations that we keep hearing about, they don't mention what it means. What it means to freeze this conflict is to make people to live under Russian occupation with all that entails. Crimean Tatars have been living under Russian occupation for many years now. they can tell you what it means. Their homes are being destroyed, completely destroyed in all parts of Crimea. They are being incarcerated. They are treated as terrorists just because they want to express their views that they don't want to live under Russia. And for that, there's enormous repercussions just by opening your mouth in Crimea. In other parts of the occupied territories, we've seen the official occupational authorities declaring that if you have diabetes and you need insulin, well, you need to take a Russian passport, otherwise you will not get any medical assistance. This is the genocide. This is the genocide of the local population, local Ukrainian population who lives in these areas. Political activists, they know, political activists in Ukraine, they all know they will be shot or incarcerated if they face Russian occupation. Trade unionists in Ukraine, they know that if they fall under Russian occupation, they will be shot or incarcerated. This is what Russian occupation means. This is what freezing the conflict and letting people live under occupation means. So think about it very, very carefully when you just want to stop this conflict. Think about what it means for all of these people who will be living under Russian occupation. And that's why we need to continue to support Ukraine. The only way we can achieve sustainable peace is by having a Ukrainian victory, is by having Russia never to ever to attack any country ever again. This is very important, to keep the international law and being respected, where all countries have a voice, no sovereignty can be attacked just like that, and where everyone has a voice and no big countries are moving the small countries. So let's continue to support Ukraine. Slava Ukraini!
Героям слава!
Bring Russia down!
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 Because Russia is a terrorist state!
Russia is the terrorist state!
Russia is a terrorist state!
Russia is the terrorist state!
Russia is a terrorist state!
Russia is the terrorist state!
Support Ukraine!
Support Ukraine!
Stay with 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 Ukraine!
Stand with Ukraine!
Stand with Ukraine!
Stand with Ukraine!
Stand with Ukraine!
Ukraine!
Stand with Ukraine!
And now we'll have a little surprise. We'll have a vocal musical break. Natalia will sing a song, Ира Матвиенко song, right?
Тільки називається «Приходи у полі калина, у полі червона, хорошенько цвіте. Ой, роде наш красний, роде наш прекрасний, не тараймося, признаваймося, бо багатько нас є, що перший цвіточок, та рідний батенько, хорошенько цвіте. Ой, роде наш красний, роде наш прекрасний, не тараймося, признаваймося, бо багатько нас є. Цвіточок, та рідна ярненька, хорошенько цвіте. Ой, роде наш красний,
What a beautiful voice. What a beautiful song. Thanks, Natalia. Thanks a lot. It's a great surprise. With talent like that, with songs like that, Ukraine is a beautiful place. We have a deep, rich culture, which goes back hundreds of years. And if for any reason Ukraine were gone, it would be a huge loss, not only for Europe, but for the whole world. We have so much to offer. We have so much to bring to the table. Therefore, we need to make sure that Ukraine remains free and independent and joins the free world as full member. Stand with Ukraine!
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 It's been called. We appreciate everyone who comes here to weather the cold and show support to Ukraine. Well, here's two things that I'd like to do. I'd like to leave today and to leave people with the messages that we bring here to everyone to hear. And also, I want you to keep warm. Therefore, we'll be shouting for the rest of the rally. First, what we need the West to do is stand with Ukraine!
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 And to ensure that most Ukrainians survive. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. To make sure that a lot of Ukrainians survive as many as possible. Ukraine needs what? Yes, Ukraine needs arms. Arm Ukraine as you promised.
Arm Ukraine as you promised!
Arm Ukraine as you promised.
Arm Ukraine as you promised!
Arm Ukraine as you promised.
Arm Ukraine as you promised!
Arm Ukraine as you promised.
Arm Ukraine as you promised!
Arm Ukraine as you promised.
Arm Ukraine as you promised!
Arm Ukraine as you promised.
Arm Ukraine as you promised!
Arm Ukraine as you promised.
Arm Ukraine as you promised!
Arm Ukraine as you promised.
Arm Ukraine as you promised!
And what do we need the most at the moment? We need long-range missiles. Long-range missiles for Ukraine.
Long-range missiles for Ukraine!
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 And one thing that Ukraine doesn't need, Ukraine does not need any limitations on the weapons, on the aid which
Так,
is
ну що там,
provided.
кацапи козяться?
Especially no
Так.
limitation on where it
Паніка.
can strike
Вони
with
мене чують?
long-range
Так,
missiles.
так.
Self-defense is
Russian
no offense.
Shamanyu.
Let Ukraine strike back.
Self-defense is not offense! Let Ukraine strike back!
Self-defense is no offense. Let Ukraine strike back.
Це боти пишуть
Self-defense
більше.
is not offense! Let Ukraine strike back!
Self-defense is no offense. Let Ukraine strike back.
Пиздуйтесь, ви швидше
Self-defense
пиздуйтесь.
is not offense! Let
Я
Ukraine
зробив
strike back!
звідкиля ви.
Self-defense is no offense. Let Ukraine strike
Зробіть
back.
тільки кожен
Self-defense
п'ятий.
is not offense! Let
Азія
Ukraine
15 це
strike
які
back!
країни?
Self-defense is no
Азія.
offense.
А,
Let
це
Ukraine
Казахстан.
strike back.
Self-defense is not offense! Let Ukraine
Рашка кожен
strike
другий.
back!
Self-defense is no offense. Let Ukraine Ukraine strike back!
Чого дзвонили тоді? Чого дзвонили?
Let Ukraine strike back.
In order for us to have something to strike with,
на сьогодні.
arm Ukraine as you promised!
Arm Ukraine as you promised.
Arm Ukraine as you promised!
Arm Ukraine as you promised.
Arm Ukraine as you promised!
Arm
Приїхати потім до клубу, з клубу сюди,
Arm
так назад
Ukraine as
поставити.
you promised!
Arm Ukraine as you
Думати на увазі.
promised.
На
Arm
слідчу неділю,
Ukraine
наприклад.
as you promised!
Arm Ukraine as you promised.
Arm Ukraine as you promised!
Arm Ukraine as you promised.
And the second thing that the world needs to do to bring Russia down is more sanctions on Russia!
More sanctions on Russia!
More sanctions on Russia!
More sanctions on Russia.
More sanctions on Russia!
More sanctions on Russia!
More sanctions on Russia!
More sanctions on Russia.
More sanctions on Russia!
More sanctions on Russia!
More sanctions on Russia!
More sanctions on Russia.
Stop buying Russian gas!
Stop buying Russian gas!
Stop buying Russian oil!
Stop buying Russian oil!
Stop buying Russian gas!
Stop buying Russian gas!
Stop buying Russian oil!
Stop buying Russian oil!
Stop buying Russian gas!
Stop buying Russian oil!
Stop buying Russian oil!
Stop buying Russian oil!
Stop buying Russian gas!
Stop buying Russian gas!
Stop buying Russian oil!
Stop buying Russian oil.
Stop buying Russian gas!
Stop buying Russian gas!
Stop buying Russian oil!
Stop buying Russian oil!
No trade with Russia!
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 No trade with Russia.
No trade with Russia!
No trade with Russia.
Because Russia is a terrorist state!
Russia is the terrorist state!
Russia is a terrorist state!
Russia is the terrorist state!
Russia is a terrorist state!
Russia is the terrorist state!
Russia is a terrorist state!
Russia is the terrorist state.
Russia is a terrorist state!
Russia is the terrorist state.
Russia is a terrorist state!
Russia is the terrorist state.
And Putin!
Хуйло!
That's it. All right. Our rally is coming to the end. Just to remind you that we have these rallies on Wednesdays at 6, on Sundays at 3, and the next Friday will be our last Friday rally at 6. Last Friday rally next Friday. After that, it will be twice a week. And on Monday, the 24th, just a reminder, we will have a huge gathering, an event to commemorate the third year of the full-scale invasion of Russia. Now, we'd like to finish our rally as we started with our beautiful national anthem.
України ні слава, ні воля, ще нам, браття українці, усміхнеться доля. Згинуть наші вороженьки, як роса на сонці, запануємо ми, браття, у своїй сторонці. Душу й тіло ми положим за нашу свободу. Ми покажем, що ми браття козацького роду. Душу й тіло ми положим нашу свободу і покажем, що ми браття козацького роду.
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава нації!
Смерть ворогам!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Нашим славним захисникам і захисницям тричі!
Слава! Слава! Слава!
Thank you very much. I'll see you on Wednesday.
Чем ты обижен на Россию? А, Максим, напиши, чем ты обижен на Россию. Что плохого сделала Россия тебе, Максим? А то люди не понимают, что плохого делает Россиюшка. Запоминаем рожу. Запоминайте, можете еще сфоткать. Чому не на фронте? Слава Богу. Чат GPT, а чому ты не на фронте? Ты с фронта мне пишешь? Ухилянт. Скоро флаг Украины будет... Так. Тебя скоро депортируют. Не, меня не депортируют. Нету за что. Вшивый. Супер. Так. Так, чуть-чуть мы тут вас... Триста. Что за митинг, по какому поводу? Повод. Какой у нас может быть повод? Мы против Греты Тунберг. Вот по какому поводу. Ты за ко. Так, сейчас. Украина, что хорошего, что мы сделали? Let's go. Что украинцы?
Jadi kayak
Куда теперь направляется? Что в Крыму не так? Все так. Был митинг за нее. Не против него, а за нее. Маетесь, понятно. А давайте переключку. Кто откуда? Кто из какого города пишет? Слава Украине. Перекличка. Кто с какого города? Быстренько накидайте. Посмотрим нашу географию. Героям слава. Привет с Одессы. Одесса. This in Russia or Ukraine? This is in USA, United States of America. Какая Грета? Рома. Харьков. Киев. Харьков. Харьков, это хорошо. Киев. Киев, супер. Кстати, как у нас проголосовали сегодня? РФ 46%, Украина 22%, Европа 18%, Азия 15%. Давайте я это сфоткаю на всякий. Эй. Рига. О, Рига. С Риги. Челны. Москва. Сегодня, кстати, из Москвы был человек, давал интервью нам на час назад. Поверните. Окей, what we're doing?
я зараз його на станції відведу, а потім вертаюсь сюди. Будемо тут в пабі трошки сидіти, там якийсь...
Ага. А, тоді мені з тобою пішли.
Так, зараз ще будемо щось, подумаємо, що зробимо. Бо тут в Юлі день народження, тут то, сьо, всяке куча речей. Його треба відвести, бо він взагалі не стоїть. I don't know. Julia's birthday. I'm not sure if you'll Nando's or Julia's birthday. Julia. The younger Julia, not the older.
Слава Україні.
How are you?
America lived with the sanctions and Russia kept overcome.
Раша говно. Есть такое дело.
Справа може мати багато. Best time?
Ло, право, ло, закон. Так?
Ні, вона не за це.
Хочешь почитать? Як там говно кидають на вентилятор. Ухилянти. О, бачиш? Москва. Вот и вот. А вот откуда вы? Бачиш, кожний другий з Росії. Кожний п'ятий з України тільки. А ти звідкіля?
Я ну, не знаю, Одеси, окей. Треба. Українцям треба то строк.
Передавай привіт.
Але більше відчуваю себе як з Києва, тому що
Який район?
Центральний.
Центральний. Центр Києва. Окей.
Молоді ворота. Та ні, тому що в Києві якось, не знаю, всі цінності якось спалися в один пазл.
Занимаются всякими глупостями, интересуются там. Ну, все как сказать.
Так, це якась Киев, передаем привет? Да? На камеру. Оп. Не. Ага.
Можна так, правильно?
А мабуть тут.
Ти направо.
Давай, давай.
Давай підемо там у паб трохи з ними. Потім будемо бачити, що після цього
От
стане.
скільки відсотків сьогодні з РФ, з України, Європа, Азія?
Блін, повно москалів, як завжди.
Кожен
Звідки
другий.
ви москалі повилізали всі?
Москалики.
Блін, там вони всі боти, блін, боже, там 90% цих з Російської Федерації ботів.
А де перемога?
Де перемога? В твоїй сраці перемога, блін, сволота остання. Де перемога?
О, видишь, ВСУ убила моего дядю.
О, земля йому лайном, твоєму
Так.
дяді.
Дядя твой был оккупантом. За денежкой ехал убивать украинцев. Так что дядю твоего не жалко. Покажи рожу свою. Сделай скриншот. Юля and папа Сережа.
Почекай тут на мене, я
Давай.
зараз.
Давай. Юля and папа, а почему ты не на кириллице написала свой ник? Как это так? Почему у тебя на английском? Вы, по-моему, с англосаксами воюете? Вот это я не понимаю. Нас много, а ты скоро... Так, нас много, вы скоро закончитесь. Историю, да. Историю вы мастаки переписывать. Каждый год новый учебник у вас выходит. Downstairs, I don't know.
Downstairs?
Yeah.
Are they not going to Nando's?
We may be going to pub, this pub. To Horse.
Oh.
Not Nando's.
Which pub? Oh, I see. Which pub? This one here?
Where is Yulia birthday?
I don't know where that is.
Horse and...
Guys.
Yeah, this one. Everybody going here.
So why are they coming here and go back again?
We going?
He's in. Ну, пішли в паб, трошки з ними посидимо, а потім, не знаю, може нам...
Може дівчини...
Це тому, що у Юлі, блін, день народження. Я не знав, що вони сьогодні будуть святкувати. То не гарно просто так її лишити. Трошки з нею потусуємося, потім кудись в інше місце, мабуть, поїдемо, да? Як хочете.
Або там.
Ну так, я за це говорю. Давайте підемо туди в Горсі. Ну що кажуть, там щось репендрюється, що сволочі.
Так. Топ. Очередной дебил. А чего с Украины стримы не ведешь? Съебал вовремя. Почему ты стрим не ведешь?
Я чи ти?
Я.
То не мій,
Ти
мій стрім, блін. Не мій стрім. Я з України мене батьки з України вже взяли, коли я був малим. Чи може і це їхня вина, скажете тут? Чому вона, що Росія терорист? Правильно. Ні, ну мені смішно, вони не говорять про те, за що ми говоримо. Тут ми на наших протестах промови не за мене, не за тебе, не за нас. Промови за політику, промови за Україну, промови за Росію. Вони за що говорять? За мене, за тебе.
Так.
А за Росію не хочете поговорити, як вас Путін там поім'яв всі ці роки і продовжує вас, блін, насилувати? Не
Украинцы свою историю не знают.
Ага. Ну я не знаю, за яку історію ми взагалі говоримо. За те, що Путін вигадав свої старі божці, блін. За це, може, ми говоримо.
О, English speaker.
А ну дай подивитись. How come these foreign people walk around our land always filming? Bro, you're not Lennon. You're not English. Who are you trying to lie to? You are not English. This is some Google Translate bullshit, bro. You are not English. Ти кого дуриш, Іван, Ваня, повертайся до москальської мови. Давай по-російськи говори. Ти по-англійськи не вмієш говорити, чоловіче. Нащо ти себе тут ганьбиш, га? Це мені нагадує, іноді пробують московіти перейти на англійську, які обожнюють Росію. Знаєш, що смішно? От росіяни, які проти Путіна, вони нормально по-англійськи розмовляють, а росіяни, які за Путіна, ні бум-бум. Оце складається таке враження, що розумові здібності росіян, які підтримують Путіна, завжди нижчі. Що ви за це думаєте, боти, га? Ну, люблю. А яка же мразь, щось по-арабськи написав, блін. Капець. Почему українці, большинство геїв? Боже мій! Більшість геїв українців, ну, прикольно. Більшість українців геї кажуть. Ну, я не знаю, чоловіче, лише тому, що вам всю сраку відпрацьовують українці, не означає, що вони геї. У вас якийсь фетиш за українців, щоб вони вам у задні двері зайшли.
Де живеш, патріотик?
Патріотик. Хто сказав, що я патріотик? Не знаю, ці люди взагалі смішні. Мені смішно.
Клоуни.
Клоуни, блін, такі веселі, весільчаки. Знаєте, ви такі, як той, як роль, яку Пахом грав у «Зеленому слоніку», як поїхавший. Ви такі самі, як він. Я тут веселюсь так з вами. Як кажуть там, як сказав братішка у «Зеленому слоніку», одна історія охуительнее другой.
Казаки воевали с поляками, они бы не поддержали вас.
Козаки воювали на боці поляків проти вас. Козаки допомогли полякам захопити московітів. А за це ви забули, може, що ви свою незалежність святкуєте від поляків, сволочеві останні. Ви за це, мабуть, не забули всі. Забули за те, що там у вас кілька царевичів були підроблених. Так само, як кілька Путінів можуть бути скоро. Смешно, мерзкий голос. Фу, Полено, хорош подлизывать этому дятлу. Що він говорить, блін? Русский мазафака.
Do you speak?
Русский мазафака, do you speak? No, I don't wanna speak Russian. How about some English? Do you speak English, motherfucker? Ти о чому говориш? Ну, Іван Куліков. Ну, принаймні, цей вже навіть не пробує виглядати англічанином. Цей вже одразу каже: я Іван Куліков, все, я Ваня, я люблю ліпешки з говном жрати і водочкою запівати. Ну як, тобі сподобалась моя російська? Диви, у тебе 10% лишилося.
Так.
Зараз телефон вмирає.
Будемо закінчувати.
Все, до побачення, телебачення.
Вам не страшно, що з вами далі буде?
Мені не страшно, мені знаєш, що страшно? Мені страшно, що з усім світом буде, бо ваш Путін вже такі проблеми створив, що взагалі. І це вам теж буде відбувати, повірте мені.
Говно ложкою будете
хлібати. Ви будете це все 100%. Не ложкою, а лопатою будете їсти гімно. Я вам це гарантую. Все, па-па.
Все. Всім добраніч. До побачення. Откуда ви?